we want to talk a little bit today about a product that Life Dynamics makes available, and it's called Fire and Ice. You've probably seen us talk about it in the past. It is we have it available on CD, and we have it available on cassette. And what it is, it's on one side, it's actual audio of a partial birth abortion. These are clips from tapes. This is actually an old Life Talk show where we played this on, and we make it available now for people to use as a pro-life tool. But these are clips of tapes that we were able to obtain from a National Abortion Federation conference, actually here in Dallas about 10 years ago. And what you hear on these tapes is Martin Haskell, the guy who invented partial birth abortion, describing how it's done. He's actually playing one on a screen there, and they're describing how it's done. And it's a chilling thing to listen to. It's actually absolutely horrible. And today we're going to play you a few clips from that, and then we're going to tell you how you can get one of these, either a CD or a cassette, absolutely free. We're making them available now free of charge, because this is a tool that you need to get people out there listening to. As a matter of fact, later in the show, we're going to play you some clips from a radio program I did where we played this, and some callers and even the host, how they were affected by this, and you're going to hear how emotional this can be for people. First off, I want to play, just to give you a little sample of this. Now, each side of this, and by the way, there's two sides. The second side is a speech by Alan Keyes. He allowed us to come tape one of his speeches, and it is really powerful. Nobody in the world is a better speaker than Alan Keyes. I think we all would agree that.
You're right up there.
Well, I'm not right up there. But I've had people say, well, you're a great speaker. I said, no, a great speaker is Alan Keyes. That's the guy you want to listen to. If you're looking for a great speaker, that's who you're looking for. But anyway, what I want to do is I want you to just hear a few of these clips and kind of get a feel for this. First off,
we have to hear
Mike,
this again.
Yeah, you have to hear it again, I'm afraid. Mike, let's start with clip number 6.
I most typically go for the knee joint, though lately I've been very successful in identifying the foot on the sonogram machine, and if you get a direct foot grab, it makes the procedure even easier. There are both lower extremities again. If you remember during the film, I reached up and helped guide the transducer head, and boom, all of a sudden there we got it. And then real quickly down here, you're going to see another white shadow come in right there. Those are the jaws of the forceps. You'll grasping again, and it disappears, and you know you've got it.
Now, Cherie, he said he was, though lately I typically go for the knee joint, but though lately I've been very successful in identifying the foot on the sonogram machine. The foot of what?
I thought it was a glob of tissue and a glob of cells and a product of conception and a lot of nothing. So how can there be a foot there, a knee there?
And a knee there. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously talking about the systematic destruction of a living human being. There's no other way you can describe that. I mean, how else would you characterize it?
Is there any difference in this, what we just heard, and what we're going to hear in that and Joseph Mengele and
absolutely not
any of those people?
Absolutely not.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. And they make it sound so clinical, so professional, and like they're doing such a great thing.
Right. Let's listen to the next clip we're going to hear, number 7, is he's later in the procedure now. As a matter of fact, he's coming to the end of it, and there's something that happens at the end of this little clip that I think is pretty revealing.
At this point, the procedure is really pretty easy. You have a lot of control. It's really easy to slide the scissor up there and safely puncture the skull without endangering the patient. The crux of the procedure really is getting the lower extremity delivered. Once you've got that, it's easy. You're really brave. Great.
You know, Cherie, I think that part, I mean, and the whole thing, as you know, you've listened to the whole thing several times, it's chilling to listen to. But this deal where he's saying you can safely puncture, safely for who? Puncture the skull. Now, again, what is it? A skull of what?
A skull, yeah.
Right.
He admits it's a skull.
It's a skull. A skull of what? Fetal
a
basket?
Tissue?
Right.
Yeah.
Without endangering the patient. Yeah, well, except that legitimate OBGYNs, when they're operating on a pregnant woman, they think they have two patients.
Right.
So in his case, one of his patients comes out dead. So he's lying there to begin with. But Once you've got the lowered extremities, in other words, the feet and the legs and the hips and everything, once you've got those done, it's really pretty easy. You're really brave. He's talking to the woman. How brave is it to pay some goon to kill your baby? Didn't you hear the suction machine? I don't know if people picked up on that. That is the actual suction machine of him sucking out the brains of the baby.
The contents of the skull.
Right, the contents of the skull, I'm sorry.
Right.
Where he puts it through the hole that he's made in the base of the baby's skull and sucks out the brains. And then these animals in this thing applaud. Now, these are all people, by the way, make sure people understand. These are clinic directors, doctors, National Abortion Federation members at this National Abortion Federation conference here in Dallas in 1992. They are sitting there watching on the screen a child being systematically butchered, and then they applaud. And I've said it many times, I don't care what your position on abortion is. To sit there and watch that and then applaud says volumes about those people.
Yep.
Much more than anything you or I could ever say about them.
And if you and I told people that are just friends or acquaintances, whatever, that this is what's happening and we describe that, me and you are crazy. We're crazy.
Right, exactly.
Something must be wrong with us.
And that's the
that
beautiful
can't be happening.
Right. That's the beautiful part about this particular product is these are their words. We didn't create this. We took them out of tapes that they produced at their conference. This is them talking about it. Now, another thing that you're going to hear a lot of pro-aborts and even people, well, who are, in my view, still pro-aborts, who want to look the other way at this sort of thing. They'll say, well, you know, these babies are deformed, or they're already dead before these procedures start, or they couldn't survive outside the womb, or whatever else. That's one of the standard defenses for late-term abortions that you hear, whether it's partial birth or other types of late-term abortions.
And life of the mother.
Life of the mother and all those things. The reality is, on this tape, we provide absolute irrefutable proof, again, in their words, that these abortions are purely 100% elective. It has nothing to do with problems with the unborn child or problems with the mother. This is simply a matter that the woman doesn't want to be pregnant. Mike, let's play clip number 8 right now.
We seem to be taking a position that, in the case of the DNX, that the fetuses are dead at the beginning of the procedure, which is generally not the case. The second criticism has been that we are really skewing the debate to a very small percentage of women that have fetal anomalies or some other problem that really need the procedure versus the 90% who it's elective, at least through the 20 to 24 week time period. And as you get up towards 28 weeks, it becomes closer to 100%.
Okay. He laid it out. He says that between 20 and 24 weeks, and if you've ever seen it, these are babies. Don't let them kid you. 20 to 24 weeks, that's a baby.
That's right.
Babies are born in that period and survive well. He says between 20 and 24 weeks, it's about 90% of them are elective. 28 weeks and onwards, it's 100%. That's his words. Now, also on this tape, we don't have the clip here, it appears, but also on this tape, we have another late-term abortionist, notorious late-term abortionist, George Tiller from Kansas, saying that he has done abortions between 10,000 abortions between 24 and 36 weeks. 10,000 abortions between 24 and 36 weeks, and virtually every one of them was purely elective.
36 weeks. That baby could be born today and go home from the hospital Thursday.
Right.
2 days later.
Right. So we're talking about, and listen to this guy, and when you hear you hear these people talking on this tape, it is exactly like you're hearing Joseph Mengele talk about his medical experiments at Auschwitz. It is absolutely no difference. And they're sitting here admitting, again, I want to emphasize this, George Tiller saying 10,000 abortions between 24 and 36 weeks, virtually 100% of them purely elective. This is what we're talking about when we talk about late-term and partial birth abortion. When we come back, we're going to have some clips from reaction to this on some shows that I've been on. Stay with us. Before we go any further, I want to tell you how you can get this CD or cassette. You need to tell the operator which one you prefer. And we'll send it to you absolutely free, no obligation. If you want to make a donation, that's up to you. But in the meantime, we'll send it to you absolutely free. Call our 800 number, 1-800-800-LIFE, and tell them you want the free Fire and Ice. either CD or cassette, or you can go online at lifedynamics.com and order it through there as well. Again, that's 1-800-800-LIFE or lifedynamics.com. I want to play, Cherie, one more clip. Now, a point that I want to make here is this tape is not just strictly about partial birth, but there are other descriptions of late-term procedures on here. One of them, we got an abortionist on here, Thomas Easterling, and he's talking about training people how to do late-term abortions. And I want you to hear this. This tape is particularly revealing about how these people think, this particular little clip. And we're just going to play a few seconds of it. I think we have about 20 or 30 seconds of it. And in this clip, people need to understand the word calvariums is used. Calvarium is just the medical term for head. That means the head of the baby. So when you hear that term calvariums, again, they're just talking about the head of the baby. Listen to this clip. This is clip number 9. Mike, could you play that?
Because I do mostly 18-week pregnancies, I now hate to do 15 and 16-week pregnancies. They're insubstantial, if you will. They break apart too easily. The residents lose calvariums very easily at 15 and 16 weeks. Because when you bring the legs of the thorax and the lower uterine segment, the calvarium doesn't necessarily follow. At 18 weeks, it always follows.
You know,
Right.
as much as I've heard this and know what's going on and read stuff and Lyme 5 and everything's happening, every time I hear it, read it, see it, it just takes my breath. I just can't believe, it's like I'm going to wake up, I'm going to wake up and go, wow, I had this nightmare, you're not going to believe this.
I'm not eating oysters again before I go to bed, right.
And it's, I cannot believe that it is happening here. We vote for it. We vote for people that allow it. And I don't even have the ability to describe it.
What's worse than we vote for people that allow it is we vote for people who say they're opposed to it and don't stop it, and that's worse.
Yes,
that's worse. But listen to what he's saying. He's saying he's almost lighthearted about it. That it's one of the advantages of doing the real late-term abortions is the heads don't pop off.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go fishing around in the uterus looking for the head.
And I want to say, do people that are hearing this, do you get that? Do you get what this man is saying?
Right.
I don't think people get it.
He says when you bring the legs or the thorax into the lower uterine segment, the calvarium doesn't necessarily follow. He's talking about at 15, 16 weeks. At 18 weeks, it always follows. Oh, well, that's great. So now I don't have to have the unpleasant task of taking forceps and going back into the mom to pull out the head of her baby. It hooks onto the body when I pull it out.
I guess the neck muscles must be better or something.
At 18 weeks.
And so how many times do they leave baby parts in the woman?
Oh, that's the most common complication from abortion is retained fetal parts. And that's what he's saying. So you're better off doing them at 18 weeks than 15 because they're unsubstantial at 15 weeks. Yeah, they come apart. When an animal like you grabs them with a pair of forceps, they come apart.
That's right.
You know, again, I think this is something that every pro-lifer out there needs to have a copy of this. This is why we're making it available free. It's not that we just like to give away things. I want to have this thing heard in every Sunday school class, in every home, in every church. I don't care. This thing, if American people are going to tolerate this, they need to hear it.
Yes.
We need to hold this in front of them. We need to hold America's sin in front of them.
Look at what you stand for. You want it, you got it, here it is, deal with it.
Right. Listen to, and it's like what Patton did in Europe after the end of World War II. He went into those German villages and he took them out there to those death camps. And he said, you're going to see this.
Yes.
Look at what you've been allowing to happen. You knew it was going on. You didn't do anything to stop it. Now you're going to sit here and watch as we bulldoze all these bodies into these pits. You're going to sit here and watch it.
You know, about the time when I go, okay, this is going on, I can't do anything about it, you know, who am I? I'm just a little voice, a little, you know, drop in the bucket, and I hear something like this again, or I watch one of the Hard Truth or Silent Scream or something, you know what? I can go conquer the world. It lights my fire. I'm determined to do everything I can do.
Well, you're right, and this particular piece really has an effect on people. What I want to play right now is a couple of clips, and this is a show I was on, the Adam McManus show, and they played some clips from Life Talk, and I've been on a lot of them, but this one we happen to have a tape of. And there were two moments in this thing to show you the impact of this on people. One of them is the host himself, Adam McManus. He became very emotional. He started weeping on the show, and we're just going to play. I don't want to embarrass him. He's a friend, and he's a good guy. But this just shows the kind of impact that this can have on people. Mike, play clip number 14 for us real quick.
I trust that if after hearing this tape, that if you are not motivated to finally get off the sidelines and into the culture war and to take a stand for the sanctity of human life, you have no conscience.
You know, I know Adam, he's not a wimpy, weenie kind of guy or something, but he's right. If this doesn't bother you, there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. There's something almost as wrong with you as there is the people who do this, if it doesn't bother you.
Yep.
This other clip was really interesting. This was a caller, and he was a truck driver. We don't have time to play the whole thing, but he said he had been listening on his truck radio to this talk show, and he said it so rattled him he had to pull over to the side of the road, and he was weeping. And then he called in to the show, and he was telling us a story. Mike, play clip number 15 real quickly.
I have never heard something that horrible in my life. That is horrible. It's horrible to hear it. I can't imagine what it must be to see it. And it's just surreal. I cannot believe not only the benign, unemotional description of the procedure, but then the applause at the end.
Yes.
It's nuts.
He got it, didn't he?
He understands it. He understands it real well.